Stop everything. Friday, February 6th, 11:34 p.m. Shanghai time. Shanghai Futures Exchange Emergency Vault Report, 350 metric tons of silver remaining, down from 410 tons just 24 hours earlier, 60 tons drained in one day. That's 1.93 million ounces removed from the vault system while Western traders were sleeping. Asian guy here, John AG, and it's 3:47 a.m. Eastern, February 10th, 2026. I'm looking at the Shanghai Futures Exchange weekly vault report that just crossed my desk from my contact at a major Chinese trading firm. What I'm about to show you is phase 2 of China's financial war against the dollar, the physical drainage strategy that's about to break global silver markets completely. This isn't speculation. This is documented physical withdrawal from the world's largest silver vault system. The numbers are public. The implications are catastrophic. And when these vaults hit zero, which my Shanghai source calculates could happen within 17 days at current drainage rates, the price discovery mechanism breaks entirely. In my last video, I showed you how China banned dollar payments for silver on January 1st, 2026. That was phase 1, cutting the dollar out of silver commerce. What you're watching now is phase 2, draining physical silver from global vault systems while Western markets still quote paper prices. And phase 3, which launches in March, is when the paper markets collapse because there's no physical metal left to deliver against contracts. Let me show you the 3 mechanisms China just activated through strategic vault management, why the 350-ton level is a crisis threshold that changes everything, and the exact timeline for when this drainage breaks Western silver markets completely. If you want to understand what's actually happening while everyone else watches paper prices, drop phase 2 in the comments and subscribe, because the March phase 3 coverage is critical. Here's what most people don't understand about the Shanghai Vault drain. This isn't random selling or normal market activity. This is coordinated strategic withdrawal at a rate that's mathematically designed to empty the vaults before Western markets can respond. Let me give you the exact numbers. January 15th, 2026. Shanghai Futures Exchange vaults held 475 metric tons of silver. That's approximately 15.3 million ounces. Normal weekly drawdowns average 8 to 12 tons. Standard industrial demand, nothing alarming. But starting January 22nd, the drainage rate changed. Week of January 22nd, 35 tons withdrawn. Week of January 29th, 40 tons withdrawn. Week of February 5th, 50 tons withdrawn in just 5 trading days. And then Friday, February 6th, 60 tons in a single 24-hour period. That's not normal demand. That's strategic extraction. My Shanghai source confirms that 80% of the withdrawals are going to Chinese state-owned enterprises, government-linked industrial companies, and entities connected to the People's Bank of China. This is China's central government draining their own exchanges' vaults. Why? Because they understand something Western markets don't. When the Shanghai vaults hit zero, it proves that all the paper silver trading on Western exchanges is unbacked by physical metal. It exposes the entire fractional reserve system that's kept silver prices suppressed for decades. The mathematics: current vault level, 350 metric tons. Current drainage rate, 60 tons per day. 350 divided by 60 equals 5.83 days. But my source tells me the drainage is accelerating. If it increases to 70 tons per day, which is the projection, we're looking at 5 days. If it hits 80 tons per day, we're looking at 4.4 days. But here's the problem. Shanghai Futures Exchange doesn't operate on weekends. Only trading days count. We have 6 trading days this week. If the average drainage is 65 tons per day over those 6 days, that's 390 tons drained. But we only have 350 tons remaining. The math doesn't work. This means one of 3 things happens this week. The drainage rate slows dramatically, signaling Chinese authorities stepping in. The vaults get an emergency injection from state reserves, which would be unprecedented and signal crisis management, or trading gets suspended when inventory drops below minimum operational thresholds. But my source says there's a 4th possibility. China lets the vaults empty completely, then announces that all silver trading will shift to a new yuan-only exchange with physical delivery from state reserves. This would create 2 completely separate silver markets, a Western paper market with no physical backing, and an Eastern physical market with yuan-only access. When that happens, and my source says within 17 days maximum, the Western paper price becomes meaningless. ComEx quoting $78 for silver you can't get, while Shanghai quotes $145 for silver, available immediately but only if you pay in yuan. The second mechanism China activated is the acceleration of the paper physical price disconnect to levels that destroy market confidence completely. Right now, this very moment, here are the actual prices. ComEx futures in New York, $78.42 per ounce. Shanghai physical spot, $120 per ounce. That's a 43.58 gap. Physical silver in Dubai, $108 per ounce with 2 to 3 week delivery delays. Physical silver in Tokyo, $150 per ounce with 1 to 2 month waiting periods. Physical silver from European dealers, $95–105 per ounce depending on product, with most items showing out of stock. The paper price says $78, but you cannot buy physical silver at $78 anywhere in the world. Not in Asia, not in the Middle East, not in Europe, not in North America. The U.S. Mint suspended Silver Eagle sales. Perth Mint suspended new orders. Royal Canadian Mint extended delivery to 8 to 12 weeks. Paper says $78. Physical says $95 minimum if you can find it, $115–$120 if you want immediate delivery in Asia. That disconnect is $37 to $44 depending on market, and it's widening every single day that Shanghai vaults drain. Here's why that matters. In a functioning market, arbitrage closes price gaps. When Shanghai pays $122 and New York quotes $78, arbitrage traders should buy in New York, ship to Shanghai, capture the $44 profit. That arbitrage should happen instantly until the gap closes to just shipping costs, maybe $3 to $5 per ounce. But the arbitrage isn't happening. Why? Because China made it illegal. On January 1st, 2026, China implemented export controls requiring government approval for all silver shipments into China, and my Beijing source confirms that 0 export approvals have been granted since January 1st. 0. Not 1 ounce has been legally imported into China since the new controls, so Western traders cannot buy silver in New York and ship to Shanghai, even though there's a $44 profit opportunity. The arbitrage is blocked by Chinese government policy. Without arbitrage, the markets stay disconnected. Western paper quotes whatever price it wants. Eastern physical trades at reality. Here's the mechanism that makes this a crisis. As Shanghai vaults drain and physical becomes unavailable in China, Chinese industrial users who need silver for manufacturing are forced to source from outside China. But they can't pay in dollars because of the January 1st payment restrictions. They can only pay in yuan. So Chinese companies approach Western suppliers and say, "We need silver. We'll pay you in yuan at $120 per ounce." Western suppliers look at that offer. ComEx paper is $78. Chinese buyer offering $122. That's a 56% premium. Of course they sell. But when Western suppliers deliver physical silver to Chinese buyers at $122 yuan, they're removing physical from Western vaults. And every ounce that leaves Western vaults means 1 less ounce available to back the paper contracts trading at $78 on ComEx. This is the drain mechanism. China bans imports through official channels, forcing Chinese industrial users to source through alternative channels at premium prices. Those premium prices pull physical out of Western vaults. Western vault drainage accelerates. Paper physical disconnect widens further. The cycle feeds on itself. My source at a major London bullion dealer confirms they've shipped over 2 million ounces to Chinese counterparties in the last 30 days, all paid in yuan, all at prices between $115–$125 per ounce. That's 2 million ounces that came out of London vaults to fulfill Chinese demand at prices 50% higher than Western paper quotes. And here's the trap. The London dealer made huge profits on those shipments. 50% premium over paper price is incredible margin, so they're incentivized to keep shipping to China even though it drains Western vaults. Short-term profit overwhelms long-term market stability. China understands this perfectly. They're using Western greed to drain Western vaults. The third mechanism is what I call Western vault contagion. When Shanghai vaults drain, it creates pressure that forces other global vaults to drain in response. This is coordinated strategy designed to collapse the entire global physical silver infrastructure simultaneously. Let me show you what's happening in other major vault systems. ComEx registered inventory in New York started January at 45 million ounces, currently at 32 million ounces. That's a 29% decline in 40 days. London LBMA vaults. My source at a major bullion bank confirms outflows of approximately 15 to 20 million ounces in January alone, with continued pressure in February. Perth Mint in Australia suspended retail silver sales January 28th, citing unprecedented demand and supply chain constraints. Translation: their vaults are running low and they're prioritizing government obligations. Royal Canadian Mint extended delivery times from normal 2 to 3 weeks to 8 to 12 weeks. Translation: they don't have enough silver on hand. This is contagion. Shanghai drains, creating price premium in Asia. Asian premium pulls physical from London and New York. London and New York drainage creates shortages in Western markets. Western shortages force mints to suspend sales. The entire global system is draining simultaneously. Each vault system operates independently, but they're all connected through arbitrage and delivery obligations. When Shanghai runs low, Chinese buyers source from London. When London runs low, European buyers source from New York. When New York runs low, American buyers source from where? There's no deeper vault system. ComEx and LBMA are the base layer. When they run low, there's nowhere else to pull from except mining production or recycling. But annual mine production is only 850 million ounces globally, mostly allocated to industrial users through long-term contracts. Recycling adds another 150 million ounces. That's total new supply. Investment demand plus industrial demand exceeded 1.2 billion ounces in 2025. That's a 200 million ounce annual deficit. Every year, the world consumes more silver than it produces. That deficit gets made up by drawing down existing stockpiles. Vault inventories, government reserves, private holdings. China's strategy is to accelerate that drawdown to the point where stockpiles run empty. And once they're empty, there's no buffer. Price has to adjust to ration the physical supply. Either industrial users outbid investors, or investors outbid industrial users. But someone gets cut off. My source at a major semiconductor manufacturer confirms they're already feeling this pressure. Their silver suppliers in Asia are demanding 30–40% higher prices than contracts signed just 6 months ago. The company either pays the premium or faces production delays because they can't get silver needed for chip manufacturing. This is how contagion spreads. Shanghai drains, Asia premiums, London drains, Europe premiums, New York drains, US premiums, industrial panic buy, investment panic buy, mints run dry, vaults empty, paper markets break. Every step is happening right now. The only question is timing. Now let me explain why 350 tons is the specific number that changes everything. This isn't arbitrary. This is the operational minimum that Shanghai Futures Exchange needs to function as a delivery market. Commodity exchanges need minimum vault inventory to ensure they can settle contracts. When a futures contract expires, traders can choose physical delivery. The exchange must be able to deliver metal against those requests. Shanghai Futures Exchange rules require maintaining minimum operational inventory of 300 metric tons to ensure 30-day delivery capability. Below 300 tons, they're technically under the threshold that allows normal operation. They would need to either restrict delivery requests, inject emergency reserves, or suspend trading. Current level, 350 tons. That's just 50 tons above crisis threshold. At 60 tons per day drainage, we're 0.83 days from crossing into crisis territory, less than 1 trading day at current drainage rates. When they cross 300 tons, the exchange has 3 regulatory options. Option 1, restrict deliveries. Implement temporary restrictions on physical delivery requests, forcing contracts to settle in cash instead of physical. This preserves inventory, but destroys market confidence. Option 2, emergency reserve injection. People's Bank of China injects silver from state reserves into exchange vaults. This maintains function, but exposes that China is using reserves to prevent breakdown, signaling crisis management. Option 3, trading suspension. Suspend silver futures trading entirely until inventory recovers. This is the nuclear option that completely breaks the Shanghai silver market. My Shanghai source says regulators are already discussing which option to implement. The decision will be made by Friday if current drainage continues. That means we're 4 trading days from a major Chinese regulatory intervention in silver markets. If China restricts deliveries or suspends trading, it confirms physical silver shortage is real. It confirms paper markets cannot fulfill delivery obligations. It confirms the price discovery mechanism is broken. When the world's second largest silver market admits they can't deliver physical at current prices, it destroys confidence in all paper silver markets. ComEx trades 200 million ounces of paper silver daily, but registered inventory is only 32 million ounces. If even 16% of paper holders demanded physical delivery simultaneously, ComEx would be empty. Shanghai potentially hitting delivery restrictions this week proves that scenario is not theoretical. It's happening in real time in the world's second largest silver market. Based on vault drainage rates, regulatory thresholds, and institutional positioning, here's the timeline. February 10th, 11, this week. Shanghai vaults drop below 300 tons. Chinese regulators implement emergency measures, either delivery restrictions, reserve injection, or trading suspension. Western markets dismiss as temporary Chinese issue. February 17, 21. First major ComEx delivery default. Large institution demands physical delivery of 5 to 10 million ounces. ComEx cannot source enough inventory. They offer cash settlement. Institution refuses. News leaks. February 24 to 28. Multiple institutions simultaneously demand ComEx delivery. Total demands exceed available inventory. ComEx implements delivery restrictions. Paper physical disconnect explodes to $60 to $80 gap. March 3 to 7. China announces Phase 3. New Shanghai International Precious Metals Exchange, with yuan-only settlement, physical-only delivery, state reserve backing. Initial price set at 950 yuan per ounce, approximately $132 USD. March 17 to 31. Western paper market loses credibility. ComEx volume collapses. Physical premiums in Western markets hit 100 plus per ounce. Mints remain suspended. U.S. faces pressure to release strategic reserve silver. April 2026, two completely separate silver markets exist. Eastern physical, yuan-based, $130, $150, actual metal available. Western paper, dollar-based, $90, $110, no physical backing. This timeline assumes current drainage continues. If China accelerates, events compress. If Western authorities intervene, events extend. But the direction is locked. The physical silver system is breaking. Only timing remains uncertain. Let me tell you about Phase 3, because my Beijing source says it's coming in March, and it makes everything irreversible. Phase 1 was the January 1st payment ban. Remove dollars from silver commerce. Phase 2 is the vault drainage we're watching now. Remove physical from Western markets. Phase 3 is the launch of China's new yuan-denominated physical silver exchange, backed by state reserves. Create permanent alternative to Western paper markets. When Phase 3 launches, late March according to my source, China will announce the new Shanghai International Precious Metals Exchange offers, yuan-only settlement for all trades, physical-only delivery, no cash settlement, state reserve backing guaranteeing delivery, initial pricing at 950 yuan per ounce, $130 USD, 24-hour physical delivery available, no Western regulatory oversight. This creates a complete alternative to ComEx and LBMA. Countries and institutions that need physical silver will have a choice. Stay in Western dollar-based paper markets where physical is unavailable, or switch to Chinese yuan-based physical markets where metal is guaranteed. When that choice becomes obvious, when industrial users cannot get silver from Western markets but can get immediate delivery from Chinese markets by paying yuan, the migration begins, and once it begins, it accelerates, because network effects favor the market where physical is actually available. This is the endgame. China doesn't need to destroy Western markets. They just create a superior alternative that rational actors choose voluntarily. Shanghai vaults, 350 tons remaining. Drainage rate, 60 tons per day. Days until empty, 5.8 trading days maximum. Crisis threshold, 300 tons. Days until crisis, 0.8 trading days. Paper price, $78.42 per ounce. Physical price in Shanghai, $120 per ounce. Gap, $43.58. Historical arbitrage trigger, 3 or 5. Current gap is 814 times normal. Western Mint suspensions. U.S. Mint, suspended. Perth Mint, suspended. Royal Canadian Mint, extended delivery. European dealers, mostly out of stock. Physical availability in Western markets, essentially zero at paper prices. These are not opinions. These are documented numbers from exchange reports, dealer pricing, and regulatory announcements. The paper price says $78. Physical availability says something completely different. When vaults drain to zero, when no physical exists at paper prices, when mints cannot produce enough to meet demand, price must adjust, not might adjust, must adjust. It's mathematical necessity. Either price rises to ration demand, or trading stops because there's nothing to deliver. China is forcing that mathematical resolution by draining vaults strategically. They're accelerating the timeline from years to weeks. And when Shanghai hits zero, when ComEx follows, The repricing happens instantly because there's no physical backing left. This isn't about whether you like China or trust Western institutions. This is about whether 350 tons is enough silver to back the paper markets, whether 60 tons per day drainage is sustainable, and whether physical can remain unavailable at $78 while paper trades continue. The mathematics say no, the vaults say no, the mints say no, only the paper markets say yes. And paper markets divorced from physical reality don't survive. Shanghai Futures Exchange vaults, 350 metric tons. Drainage rate, 60 tons per day. Crisis threshold, 300 tons. Timeline to crisis, less than 1 trading day. Timeline to empty, 17 days maximum. This is Phase 2 of China's financial war. Phase 1 remove dollars from silver payments. Phase 2 is removing physical from global vaults. Phase 3 launches in March with yuan-only physical exchange. When Phase 3 arrives, 2 completely separate silver markets exist permanently. Eastern physical, Western paper. And when that happens, the Western paper market loses all credibility because it's obviously unbacked by actual metal. We're watching the end of the unified global silver market. The fragmentation is happening now. Shanghai is the canary. When their vaults empty, everyone realizes their vaults are emptying too. My Shanghai source says Friday, February 13th is the critical date. If vault levels are still dropping at current rates, emergency measures get implemented. Either delivery restrictions, reserve injections, or trading suspension. Any of those 3 outcomes forces repricing. That's 3 trading days from now, 72 hours until we know if China's Phase 2 succeeded in breaking the Shanghai physical delivery market. And if Shanghai breaks, how long until ComEx follows? The countdown is running. The vaults are draining. The mathematics are undeniable. Position accordingly while decisions remain voluntary rather than mandatory. This is John A.G. Phase 2 is underway. The vaults are at 350 tons, 17 days maximum until empty. Shanghai might hit crisis threshold this week, and Phase 3 launches in March regardless. Drop Phase 2 in the comments if you see what's happening. Subscribe because Phase 3 coverage is coming in March and you need to know what the yuan-only physical exchange means for your positioning. The 17-day countdown started Friday. We're now at day 4. The mathematics don't lie, and empty vaults don't deliver silver at paper prices.